We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how do you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out.
What is going on, football fans? Welcome to another edition of the Air It Out podcast presented by Inside the Hashes. My name is Juan Pablo Guarin Camargo, and I'm joined on a StreamYard call that's somewhat filled with football experts. Will be filled with football experts later in the show. I got Mr. Darius Riddick over to my left, and I got Mr. Avery Collins right below me, and Darren Braxton will join us later in the show. What is up, you guys?
What up, man? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
No, guys, I woke up today, pretty chill, thinking that I wasn't going to see anything crazy in the news today. I wasn't going to see something that only The Onion would publish maybe on the border. And then I see that the dog walker for Lady Gaga had been shot on this. Oh, and we got Coach himself, Mr. Big Trust, joining us on location. What is going on, Mr. Darren Braxton?
What's up, guys? Sorry, just got out of practice, but I am here, ready to talk.
Coach!
Ready to talk football.
Darren, right as you were coming in, I was talking about how I woke up to the news about the fact that the dog walker for Lady Gaga had been shot in the street last night while walking all three of her her bulldogs, and two of them were kidnapped. And I was just, first off, who has not the audacity to do that to anyone in general? Why? It just really made me consider what is going out in the world today right now, where people are killing each other over some dogs. Okay, and yeah,
over the dogs.
Over the dogs, yeah, man. There was three of them. Two of them were taken. One was rescued by police, and now Lady Gaga is offering a $500,000 award for the return of them, no questions asked. So I kind of just want to get your vibe check on this, on whether or not is this kind of is the 2020 carry over into 2021 with how weird the world is getting, or has this always been the case?
This has always been the case. It's just we're highlighted right now because we're in the high social media era. But my question is, the police, they recovered one.
Because he managed to escape.
Okay, all right. Because I'm like, how did they recover one and not the other two?
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
The third one was to escape. And I also couldn't find, everyone's just worried about the dogs and the dog's condition. I don't know if the dog walker is alive or not. I've been literally combing through social media trying to find out what happened to this guy. I don't even know his name, is how bad it is. And all I know is his age and that he was shot while walking the dogs out at night. And oh man, I just feel bad for that guy. But
hold on, gentlemen, hold on. So are you telling me that the dogs right now for Lady Gaga are getting more attention than the actual human being that has been shot?
Yeah,
that is what we live in.
America, right there.
That dog's life is more important than a human being's life.
Quick. So it's funny, and this is why I think this show is so, one, culturally but socially relevant. Atlanta did a spoof of kind of how that was on one of the episodes. One of the characters on the show goes to a gun range, right? And you know how they have the paper backdrops that you can shoot, and his backdrop was a dog, and it caused commotion. They were like, what are you doing? You can't shoot any dogs. What are you doing? He's like, well, you're shooting humans. You're shooting human cutouts. Why is that okay? And it's just we value the lives of pets more than humans. I'm not saying either should be valued more than the other. I think we should value all life. But that's just the nature of what we live in, is that human lives are less valuable than the lives of pets and animals in some people's eyes.
I am a dog person. I don't have a dog. I want one. But I do consider myself a dog person. But, I don't value a dog's life over that of a person's.
I have 4 dogs, and I can tell you this right now. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have to say that myself. What about you, Darius? You've been a little quiet about this.
No, I agree, man, with Avery, with Darren. I have dogs and I love my dogs. But at the same time, you can't value a dog's life more than a human being's life. I think you can't. They don't outweigh each other. They're both, life is life. So I agree with Avery when he said that we shouldn't value more than the other. They both are living. But shout out to Avery with the Atlanta show. That is a great show, and it touches on a lot of things that need to be touched on. So that's definitely one of the highlights of that episode.
It's just ridiculous news. Not ridiculous, just crazy news that passes through like the filter all the time on Twitter, which is just insane. But we're not here to talk about celebrity news. This is not Entertainment Tonight. This is not this is not First Take. We don't dive into those kind of topics. We dive into football here today, gentlemen, and that's what we're diving into the rundown today. And we're starting off with a potential contract extension down in Tampa. The reports came out on Wednesday that Tom Brady could be looking to sign an extension with the Buccaneers this offseason. He signed a 2-year deal worth $53.375 million as a free agent last year, and he'll carry a $28.375 million cap hit in 2021. An extension could lower that number in the short term, which could help the Bucs bring back a lot of key players into the fold, like a couple of ones that hit in free agency, like Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Leonard Fournette, among so many others. And this all came up during an episode of the Rich Eisen show, where Bucs GM Jason Licht, I never knew how to pronounce his name. Our Jason Licht kind of made an appearance and said it's a possibility. We've talked to Tom about it. We want to keep the Super Bowl window as open as possible. And here are Brady's stats. The 43-year-old quarterback. Here are his stats from 2020. 4,633 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions, a 66% completion percentage, 72.5 QBR rating, a Super Bowl ring, and he earned it by beating Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Drew Brees through the gauntlet of the playoffs, which we'll be diving into in just a bit.
Don't forget Tyler Haneke?
Taylor Heinicke.
Yeah, don't forget about him, man. Don't forget about that bull.
All right, I'll give Taylor Heinicke his respect here too. Speaking of the Washington football team, in an interview with GQ last week, Washington football team quarterback Alex Smith said that during his leg rehab process that required 28 screws, 3 metal plates, 17 surgeries, an infection of necrotizing fasciitis, and the development of sepsis, all which resulted from a compound fracture on his leg in a sack against J.J. Watt in 2018, he felt that the Washington football team did not want him. Quote, they didn't see it. They didn't want me there. They didn't want me to be a part of the team. They didn't want me to be a part of the process. The roster, they didn't want to give me a chance. Mind you, this was a whole new regime. They came in, I'm like the leftovers, and I'm hurt. I'm this liability. They didn't want me there. At that point, you can imagine everything I've been through. I could have cared less about all of that. Whether you like it or not, I'm giving this a go at this point. And keep in mind, the 36-year-old Smith won Comeback Player of the Year in 2020, having beat out Dwayne Haskins for the starting job midway through the season, and he helped lead Washington to a division title, throwing 1,582 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a 66.7 completion percentage. And to end it all out through this, we're diving into a little bit more QB controversy as the Deshaun Watson trade saga just keeps getting more and more interesting by the day, as it was reported by Bleacher Report on Thursday that Deshaun Watson met with new Texans head coach David Culley and told him straight up, I have no desire to play for the Houston Texans ever again. I want to be traded out of here. Watson has become increasingly upset about how the organization has operated in the last 4 years, allowing Bill O'Brien to trade DeAndre Hopkins for peanuts, to lying to Watson about allowing him to have more say in the search for a GM and head coach, only to have Jack Easterby bring in his own guys in Nick Caserio from the Patriots and David Culley from the Ravens. And to add insult to injury, Bleacher Report also reported that the Texans have been leaving interested trading partner teams on voicemail with their trade offers. They haven't even called anyone back. They are so affirmed to keeping Deshaun Watson in Houston that every one of those trade offers is on the taped voicemail. And that guy concludes today's rundown. So much to break down. Only a limited time to do so. I want to throw it over to Darius first about Tom Brady's extension down in Tampa. He's 43, had arguably one of his better seasons of all time as a Buck for his first year. Is it a smart move by the Buccaneers to try to extend him to at least age 45, which he said he wanted to retire, but now that's in question?
I think from a business standpoint, when you look at it, the whole point of the extension, right, is to help create cap space, because you want to bring back guys like Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, right? You want to bring back these guys. And you also want to bring back possibly Shaquille Barrett, depending on how you do it. So I think in that aspect, yes. And Brady has shown this season that he still can play. Yeah, there was a lot of questions. Yes, free Watson. It was a lot of questions that if he can go into the system with Bruce Arians, is him and Bruce Arians gonna get along? Can he go to deep ball? And he went in there and he shut out all the noise and he performed well. He had one of his best seasons in his first year, and he brought in a Super Bowl. So I think it's just a matter of when Tom Brady, signs that extension, especially because Tom Brady, he's a selfless player. In New England, he was asked to take a lot of pay cuts so they can sign other free agents. So I think there's going to be a situation where he's going to look out for the team so they can bring back those key players to help them, win another Super Bowl if they can.
First off, just want to address that quick comment from Jerome. Free Watson to the Eagles. You are paying a dead cap hit of $35 million for Carson Wentz. Do you really think you need another cap hit from Deshaun Watson? I don't think so. Darren, speaking of Deshaun Watson, the fact that they're leaving, that the Texans are leaving teams on voicemail with their trade offers is just straight up insulting. But does Houston really think they have a chance of keeping Watson in a Texan uniform?
There's no way. I don't think they understand what's going on. And I think what's going on right now is the Texans are not getting offers that they really want. They're not getting the offers that they feel as though they can get for a Deshaun Watson type player. And when you're talking about 3 first-rounders and a Christian McCaffrey, which was already reported from the Panthers, if they really want more, they can possibly get it still. But when you got a player that is not only saying, hey, I want out, to the head coach, not once, but twice, and reiterating it to make it very clear, you got to let that man go. There is no saving that. There is time to hit the reset button. And if they don't understand it, it's going to be a long, long season for them.
This kind of reminds me of a phrase that the late owner, I think it's Cal McNair, that was owner, prisoner. He said right before he died, which is, we can't let the prisoners run the prison yard, when he was commenting about player rights and protesting and everything. Boy, are those haunting words coming back in 2021 for the Texans organization, aren't they? And I'll end it right here with Avery about Alex Smith's comments about Washington not wanting him. Understandably, he was upset about having that kind of notion that Washington didn't want him in the building. Did he have a right to be upset, or is that just part of the business?
Extend Tom Brady. It makes sense. If he's playing at a high level and he doesn't get hurt, why not? Especially because you're not giving a quarterback this year that's going to be any good. So extend him. Free Deshaun Watson, man. I know you don't want to, but let that brother go. Just let him go. All right. I mean, because he's going to hold out, right? Like if you don't, he's probably going to end up holding out. Obviously, we know that doesn't work well in either side's favor. So it's just like, let's not make this thing ugly. If you really want to win, do something for one of your players. Because if people around the league are saying, yeah, Houston don't care about us, they're not going to want to go there. Alex Smith, yes, he has a right to be upset. I mean, because he's absolutely right. They didn't want him there, right? Like, I mean, they were unsure whether or not he was going to play again. At one point, we were unsure if he was going to live, right? So, I mean, they didn't want him there. They were essentially trying to get rid of the dead weight of Alex Smith, hence why they didn't allow him to start when he was deemed healthy. They didn't allow him to start at the beginning of the season. They still went with Dwayne Haskins for some godforsaken reason. And then they moved into Alex Smith, and it was just like, man. And I understand why, because once he gets on the field, he's going to give you a very hard time of saying, it's going to be hard for you to say, yeah, we got to take him off, right? As far as what we have in the stable. So, yeah, I just think that it's a situation where he had every right to be upset. But at the same time, in the same breath, you had a right to feel upset, but they also had a right to be questionable about your future.
They also guaranteed his salary the year he was injured.
Exactly.
They didn't dock him any pay whatsoever.
Right. So, but yes, I mean, but so like I said, his sentiments are valid. Like, yeah, they didn't want him there, this and that, yada yada yada. But at the same time, it's like there's a reason why. Like, it's not like you had a bad stretch of games and then you bounced back, or it's not like you played in an extremely tough division and odds were stacked against you, and that's why. No, we didn't know if you were going to play again. That's the reason that they didn't want you back. And they were like, well, we got to move on. We've got a young quarterback that we're trying to develop, and this and that. So, yeah, I think both sides can be, essentially upset. But I think Alex Smith is in a good position where it's just like, yeah, I forced your hand. Now what you going to do?
And now it's up to the Washington football team to see what they do, because I think there's still one more year left on that contract for Alex Smith. Otherwise, he's a free agent going into it. So it'll be interesting to see how that situation develops. And, drama doesn't end here. Like, football has turned into a dramatic sport, just like the NBA did over the past couple of years. And the drama doesn't stop here on the rundown as we jump into our first topic of the day. And that is the fact that Ravens edge rusher Matt Judon threatened an ESPN reporter on social media. What do I mean by that? Well, let me start up by this. The report came from Andrew Buchholz from awfulannouncing.com. It's not even like a reputed sports site. It came from a random small sports outlet. So hype up Awful Announcing for bringing up this issue. But what happened was Judon had essentially threatened a reporter about by saying he wanted to leak photos of said reporter of him at a strip club if he didn't publicly apologize for a reporting job that he did on Judon. Here's a little bit of the context. See, Judon took issue with Ravens beat writer I can't find his first name, Hensley. It's the ESPN writer Hensley, and it was back last year. It was back earlier this month when Hensley reported that Judon had been offered, quote unquote, Zadarius Smith money by the Ravens for a contract extension. However, he declined the offer. And it was that news that Judon took offense by. He called Hensley a liar on social media, demanded a public apology live on ESPN, and said that if he didn't get it, he would leak photos of Hensley at a strip club and evidence saying that he cheated on his wife. Now, Judon was franchise tagged in 2020, and because the Ravens and Judon didn't reach a long-term deal before July 15th, the window closed on any multi-year contract in 2020. And now, just by this PR stance alone, I don't know what to say. This is pettiness of the highest level, in my opinion, but I'm just the host. I don't have the biggest opinion to give here. I'm going to lay it out for you guys to take care of it. And I'll start off with the Ravens fan in the room, Darren. And I guess, man, I'm guessing you don't want Judon back on this team anytime soon, do you?
Unique Ngakwe is super franchise tagging, so I'm fine. This is hurting me right now because Matthew Judon has always been a pretty much great guy when it comes to character in the locker room. You never really hear anything bad. He's well respected among his peers, and he's definitely a guy that's starting to become more of a force in the league. Yes, his sack numbers do not reflect it as much, but we all know sack numbers do not always translate, especially when you're getting numerous pressures and making things happen in the backfield. When you go against the run, the pass, and you can pass rush very well at that outside rusher back, you're doing pretty well. But with only 6 sacks, it's hurting them right now. And to go onto Twitter and then threaten an ESPN reporter, which you could have easily cleared this up with a simple phone call. You decided to go onto social media and make a public thing about this. That's my main issue. That is my main biggest issue. This could have been all solved with a simple 5-minute phone call. But it's cool. Judon, we will see you later. Thank you for all your service, man.
And that's the fans' perspective. I'm going to get 2 more perspectives in here. I'm going to get the media member perspective from Darius and the former player perspective from Avery. So, Darius, as a member of the media, how are you taking this?
I mean, I agree with I agree with Darren, man. I think it's a situation where, I think Matt Judon, he could have just hit him to the side and they could have had a civil conversation. I think whenever you bring something to social media, you're looking for attention. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you're looking for some type of attention because especially the following that Matthew Judon has. He's a professional football player. He has a following on Twitter. He has a following on Instagram. So people are going to be like, okay, what happened? What's going on? And now you have guys like myself. I'm interested in, I want to know, I kind of want to see, the photos. Like, was he really there? And, I want to see where this is going to go. But I mean, if he really does have these photos, he's the ESPN guy. He has kind of no choice but to really apologize, especially if they can do some type of damage to his career, where ESPN may take action and now he can't get a job somewhere else because of this. You get what I'm trying to say? Because he's blackmail. I don't know how these corporate companies work, but let's just say that happens. But I definitely think a situation like this is gonna it hurts both parties. Like, Matthew Judon, teams are gonna look at him like, this is how you carry yourself off the field when it comes down to, talking to the media. Why should we invite you into our locker room? Because now when you're in the locker room, team reporters are going to ask you about that one specific situation. And that's a question that teams don't like to really hear every time, especially when, the coaches are getting asked those questions. The GMs are getting asked those questions. So it's going to be very difficult for Matt Judon to really find a home, especially after this all plays out, how this all plays out.
I mean, this is just extortion. This is straight up extortion. And to do it publicly is just humiliating and crazy, to say the least, especially for a guy like Judon, who, like you said, Darren, had 6 sacks over the course of the year and 32 solo tackles, which Hensley commented was a dip in production for 2020, which cannot be denied. But Avery, what are your thoughts, man? From a player's perspective, what are your thoughts on Judon's situation?
All right. So the petty in me loves this. I've got a petty side. I try not to let it show. But the petty in me loves this. So I look at it from a couple different standpoints. Somebody made a point where, you're attacking his personal life, right? And that is true, right? But let's look at the flip side. Did that report, if these allegations and the reports of this of him turning down a Smith type offer, if that's true, or excuse me, if it's not true, does that not affect his personal life? That affects Judon's personal life, because now it looks like he's greedy. Now it looks like he's overvaluing himself. Now it's potentially affecting his livelihood and his character, right? So that's number one. Number two, as far as the reporter goes, yeah, it's blackmail. It is blackmail. I mean, it's extortion and it's all of those things. But I kind of almost, like I said, part of me is like I'm low key, very low key, like 2% happy that a player is trying to take the power back. He's like, I'm tired of y'all giving these false reports and just getting away with it. You didn't come check with me. You didn't come check with my team. You didn't check, like, who is your source? Yada, yada. You're just spewing out stuff. And that's frustrating, right? And I can see how that would be frustrating. Like, stop lying. It's like he said, you could have came to me and we could have had a conversation, and I would have told you what was up. But now it's like, oh, Judon has to go to him, and he could have went to him and said, hey, man, that's not true. Like, no, he could have came to me and asked me what was the situation, right? And so I'm on neither side here. I'm on the side of the truth. And my whole thing is, if it's not true, stop reporting it. And Matthew Judon, if it's not true, don't even threaten something like that. To me, the entire situation is goofy. I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that, one, if the reporter lied, and two, I don't like the fact that Judon is going to try to hang something over his head and potentially, ruin his marriage. But in the same breath, what's done in the dark shall surely come to the light.
There's one thing I want to touch on was the fact that Judon was asking for Henley's source on the topics. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, me as the journalist inside me, the Syracuse trained journalist inside me, will always defend the fact that a reporter can protect his source. You don't have to reveal where you. Of
course, you don't have to publicly do that. You don't have to publicly do that. But if this dude is threatening and he's doing all those things, then you just send him a DM. Hey, this is my source. You don't have to put it out into the public, but hey, this is.
Right. You don't have to show your source in general, privately or publicly. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you are the one that is just reporting what you're being told. You're not you don't have to do anything, and it happens online all the time. Even with the Jets, Deshaun Watson news, sources say this, sources say that, sources do this, sources do that,
and that's my issue. That's annoying to me. It's like, we're not fact checking. It's just, oh, my source. Oh, my source. Oh, my source. I don't care about your source. This is my life. This is my livelihood. This is my name on the line. What are we talking about right now? You're talking about a source. You're talking about yada. You're still going to be reporting. This can affect if a team decides to pick me up. There's a difference. You're going to continue to write. You're going to continue to report. You're going to continue to yada yada, because nobody cares if a reporter lies. It's like, oh, well, he missed, right? But if I mess up, if I'm looked at and painted out to be a bad guy, that affects my livelihood. I could be out the league. And so that's why, like I said, I'm not on either side. I feel like the entire situation is goofy. And I think that it could have been handled better on both sides.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree
with Avery's point. And to Avery's point, to be honest, this could have been handled like adults, but they decided to handle it like schoolyard children, arguing over who is right and who is wrong. As two grown men, you guys need to sit down and discuss this.
One thing, one of my mentors, his wife said, there was a situation, and she said, since you went to social media to address this, I'm going to go to social media to respond. Since you addressed this publicly, I'm going to respond publicly. Since you put this out there, this is what I'm thinking Judon's thinking. Since you put this out there publicly, this lie allegedly, then I'm going to address it publicly. Take it back, or I'm going to publicly, since you want to, so, but at the same time, like I said, and this is why I'm 50-50 on it. At the same time, I believe when they go low, we go high. You don't have to respond publicly. Technically, you could have just DM'd him, and it could have been, squashed there. He could have taken the high road. But at the same time, I can't blame him for saying, well, since you decided to defame my name and lie on my name, well, here you go.
I kind of touching on what Darren said. It's kind of just watching a schoolyard brawl kind of happen, trying to hit lower than the other guy. It kind of is a perfect jumping point to our next story, because it is kind of a schoolyard brawl, but it's more a brawl of words on a football field, specifically between Patriots quarterback Cam Newton and a high school kid at one of his QB camps down in Charlotte. Let me break it down here. So Newton's hosting this football camp down in Charlotte to help players. To help basically young kids grow into football players. And Newton was being heckled by a 16-year-old kid on the sidelines, basically, with the kid yelling out, "You're going to be a free agent. You're going to be a free agent. You're about to be poor." You're about to be poor. And Cam responding, I'm rich. What are you talking about? I'm rich. Several times he kept saying that. And then when he saw it was a kid that was heckling him, he basically said, where's your dad? Where's your father at? Where's your dad? Like, I want to talk to your dad. Like, what are you doing? And then another video was published shortly after with a huddle with that kid and Cam in it. And Cam trying to talk to this kid, trying to clear the air, saying, hey, man, like, so you wanted my attention. I'm trying to give you the attention that you asked for. Like, tell me how you did today and what you do. And the kid just was just keep giving him lip, keep saying, yeah, you saw me today. You can watch the highlights. You can watch YouTube. And Cam's like, no, I can't. I was busy all around today. Like, so what'd you do today? Like, tell me. I want to know how. Like, why are you here? Like, what do you want to improve on? And then ever since that interaction, there's been a bunch of social media comments on it. There's been a bunch of controversy and so many opinions being given that ultimately the kid was able to apologize on social media, basically the same way any other athlete does by putting it on his notes and posting it all over. Now, that being said, and I'm going to give Avery the first knock on this one, man. What was this the right way to approach the situation by Cam? Was this kid like just looking for some clout? Like, what was the end game here?
Absolutely, this kid was just looking for clout. I mean, he was just looking to go back and forth with Cam Newton. He saw the other viral clip of when the little guy was on the sideline and barking back and everything like that. Still barking back and forth, and Cam comes up and gets into his face, and they have a little laugh and yada yada yada. So that's what he was looking for. He was looking for, he was looking for attention. Now here's the thing: it's like you're talking trash, but you paid to be there. Like, you paid me to be here. Like, so talk all you want, but like, you paid me to be here at my camp. This is I own this. Right. And so that's the ultimate last laugh right there. But I think a couple things. Number one, this is cultural, right? I think in our culture, we love to trash talk. It's just a part of what we do, man. It's really like the competitiveness. When it gets to a certain level, it's like, we're going to talk trash. We're just going to go back and forth. There's no harm, no foul, right? Like, he wasn't trying to, quote unquote, disrespect Cam, I don't believe, in a way that was demeaning to him. And obviously, Cam wasn't trying to disrespect him in a way that was demeaning, right? It was just, all right, who's going to have the better punch? Who's going to have the better punch? We're just talking trash here. My issue, though, is this. My second point. My issue is he wouldn't have done this to Aaron Rodgers. He wouldn't have done this to Peyton Manning. He wouldn't have done this to anybody else of that type of caliber. But because it's Cam Newton, he did it. Now, again, I give a little bit of a pass but within our culture, it's like it's a family without even being family, right? Like, I can kind of talk trash with Cam and know that he's going to talk trash back to me and not take offense to it. Because as you saw, Cam didn't take offense. He wasn't mad at the kid. He was like, let me pull you aside and let me talk to you and say what's up and really school you and learn you and different things like that, right? Like, he wasn't trying to, and same with the kid. Like, he apologized. Like, listen, I think y'all took that out of proportion. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to Cam. I was just trolling him. We was going back and forth. So I give him a little bit of slight, but at the same time, like I said, I question, would you have done that to Peyton Manning, or would you have sat there and absorbed everything that he had to say? Because Cam Newton has gone from where you are to where you want to be. He's had nothing, and he's got to the highest heights. He's been an NFL MVP. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's literally done everything that you probably can aspire to outside of winning a championship that you can aspire to do in the game of NFL, in the game that you're playing, and he's providing you an opportunity to learn from scouts and trainers and different things like that from all over the world who are pouring into you. And you should sit down, be quiet, absorb, ask questions, pay attention, and learn from somebody who's a literally living legend. Literally a living legend. So that, to me, that's where my biggest frustration comes in.
And Darius, you were able to watch Cam Newton coach, lead your team as the quarterback. You even campaigned Cam for MVP during the entire season. How do you think your quarterback, or the soon-to-be ex-quarterback, handled the situation?
Cam handled it the perfect way, like he's handled everything in his entire career. You know, Jerome said it the best. Why does Cam Newton get the hate that he does? Avery said it the best. This guy is an MVP, right? He led the Carolina Panthers, a team with literally probably no wide receivers, to a Super Bowl. They had a 15-1 record.
I gotta point this out, man, because I was watching the I Am an Athlete podcast, and they made a very valid point. You took a team that was at the bottom of the league to the highest height in the league with no true number one wideout.
Not one. Just Greg Olsen.
You did legendary things in this game. Like you pulled a LeBron in the NFL. That's not easy. Even Tom Brady had a tough road having Godwin and Evans and Gronk and all of those.
Brown and Fournette and
I'm gonna do it without those. I'm gonna just.
And with that being said, I kind of want to get this to the most important perspective, in my opinion. Here.
Wait. Let Darius finish. I'm sorry, I cut him off.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, let me. I'm almost done. But the disrespect for Cam, man, I don't get it. This guy is literally he has a lot of he accomplished a lot, right? Like he's won a national championship, first overall pick. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter, like a lot of athletes saying this kid should be soaking up the knowledge. Like exactly, like just because he's a pending free agent, because he's going to sign to a team, regardless if he comes back to New England or he reunites with Washington, he's going to sign with a team. He just had, obviously the season with New England didn't go the way that it wanted to go, but he still had a pretty solid season when you look at the tape and you look at what he was able to do without any weapons. My point is, man, the kid was looking for clout, and Cam handled the situation very well. Cam handled it like a man. He was like, listen, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you like a man. I'm going to treat you like a man. In my eyes, you're in my camp. I'm going to talk to you like a man. Let's have a civil conversation, and let's see what the problem is. And the kid was just, obviously he wanted to go viral, and he knew the best way to do it was to trash talk Cam Newton.
And I want to give this to the final perspective to what I consider to be the most important, which is coach's perspective from Darren, man. If this was your kid, this was one of your kids that was doing it in the camp, and you saw it, how would you address that in the locker room?
You don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's that simple. You are there at that man's camp to learn and get help for what you want to do. And as these guys already told you, Cam has been an MVP, an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler multiple times. The man won Rookie of the Year. He threw for 4,000 yards in his first season with really nothing but Steve Smith. The man, listen, his MVP year, 35-10. How many quarterbacks have thrown 35 touchdowns and then rushed for another 10 with no weapons? Come on, I just don't understand. I understand. I get the trash talking between the players and things like that, but he's not a player. He's not your age. That's a grown man. If you want to trash talk, you trash talk with one of the guys you got to go against. You're not going against Cam Newton. You got to show that man some respect. It's that simple. If that was one of my players, I would not be tolerating that. You show your adults the respect. You show your elders the respect. Especially when you come into his program, his camp, to get help from him. That's just not what you do.
And
I just want to end with this. Because like I said, I give him a slight pass because, like I said, culturally I can understand it. Like we joke around. That's what we do. I get it. However, once it got to that huddle portion, shut up. As soon as it got, like, you got what you wanted. You got Cam's eye and his ear. Now shut up and listen. As soon as y'all got to that huddle portion, it should have been, yeah, I rep the 2-on-5, man. You're going to see, man. You're going to see what I did. No, it should have been, hey, man, we got our next game, such and such. Are you going to be there? I want you to come check me out and show me what I can do better. Hey, this is what I did. What do you think? This is, like, that's what it should have been. As soon as it got to that point, shut up and listen.
I will say, what I'm really happy from this video overall is how Cam handled it. All right. In the past, he has been known to be pretty ruffled when it comes to handling with the media, especially from his post-game Super Bowl conference.
Don't bring that up. Don't you dare bring that up. That was not on Cam. They're celebrating. That's never happened before. They're celebrating right next to him.
And his comments with the female reporter that were taken out of context as well. So from handling those kind of situations, Cam's really learned how to handle his own when confronted in those kind of situations. So I want to give Cam props for being able to handle those situations, no matter how the media tries to turn it around or how people in the moment try to get something out of him. So I want to say bravo to Cam for handling it. And I don't know where else this story could go. And I don't know where else it could turn. I'm just hoping that I get to see more Cam Newton in 2021, wherever he lands, because the guy, for as much flack he's gotten, for as much controversy that's been thrown his way, is a pretty solid player overall. Whatever system he finds himself, whether as a backup quarterback or otherwise, I hope he finds a good spot. And whether it's with Washington, whether it's with Chicago, out west with the San Francisco 49ers, or from Atlanta, or in Atlanta, even if they give him a chance. I
hope he stays in New England or he backs up Matt Ryan. Like I really think if he gets a full off season under his belt, if they give him somebody, that's a dog in Ocho Cinco's words, give him a dog, somebody who's a dog. I think Cam is. I mean, let's not forget during the midway through the season, I think they go on like a 5 or 6 game win streak. I mean, and we're talking about like the Patriots didn't have to play against the Bills, who made it to the AFC Championship game. They were not slouches. They were really good. Like the Bills were legit. Let's not
them in check on that first meetup.
Miami was really good. Like Miami was a really good team. Like why do you? No offense, but why y'all think Tom Brady left? He saw it coming. He's like, the Bills gonna be nice. The Dolphins, they gonna be all right. Like he saw it. He's like, I'm out of here. The Falcons, they're shaky. The Saints, they can't go over the hump. And the Panthers, y'all done let Cam go. I'm going to Tampa.
Why can't the Jets be on that list? All right. That being said, Avery bringing up players on the move. What about the players that might stay put or get tagged and trade otherwise, which brings us to our last thing of the day, franchise tag candidates. And I'm going to give Darren the floor on this one first because I know he has to go. He has a great Inside the Hash player interview coming his way. So, guys, there's so many free agent so many free agent people, players coming into the market. And I have 8 of them who I think have the potential to be franchise tagged to trade, or just not being tagged at all. I got Dak Prescott, Allen Robinson, Shaquille Griffin, Matt Milano, Bud Dupree, Hunter Henry, and David Thuney. So Darren first, then Darius, and then we'll end it on Avery. So who are your franchise tag candidates? Who's a player you think is going to be tagged and traded, or just going to be let go?
So I got a lot of players that I really want to get tagged, honestly. For example, you already stated some of the guys. Matt Milano, Allen Robinson, Hunter Henry definitely got to get tagged. But when it comes to the tag and trades, I do see there being a few tag and trade scenarios. Depending on how Washington would like to play it, Brandon Sharif would be a great tag and trade type guy. You can get a lot of value for a great all-pro and Pro Bowl guard, especially with what he's been doing recently. And another guy you can actually look at something like that, Allen Robinson as well. If the Bears do not know who they're going to be going with for their quarterback position, why keep Allen Robinson at the number 1 receiver? He's going to want a new deal. He's not going to want the little mini rebuild or the big rebuild that the Bears might have to go through. So tag and trade them in. Get assets to be able to get your franchise guy again, and then go ahead and build around him. And last but not least, Kenny Gallagher. Great franchise tag right there. The guy is an absolute stud at the number 1 wide receiver position. Now, with Jared Goff in the building, he's going to need weapons, people. And with a high pick already, if you go ahead and draft someone like Jamar Chase, added Kenny Golladay now as the number 1, as well as TJ Hawkinson at the tight end position with DeAndre Swift in the backfield, that is loaded right there. Those weapons right there can really do damage, especially if you got to go against guys like the Bears with that defense, the Green Bay Packers with that offense and defense that they have, and the Vikings with their sneakily good offense. with Dalvin Cook and guys like that and Justin Jefferson. So it's definitely a lot of options.
The one issue I see is that Kenny Golladay can never stay healthy on the field. So he is a commodity in that option. But with Allen Robinson, just keep in mind, he's open to staying in Chicago, but he's also been flirting with whatever team is rumored to be with Deshaun Watson, especially the New York Jets. So that's one thing to consider. And remember, Allen Robinson has only eclipsed 1,000 yards receiving 3 times in his career, twice in the last 2 years, and he's done it with Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, and Blake Bortles as his quarterback. So do not
all subpar quarterbacks.
So what would be the value? Quick, before you have to go, Darren, what's the quick value for Allen Robinson in a tag and trade situation?
Second rounder minimum.
A minimum second rounder, just one.
Minimum second rounder for a young guy that's produced over three 1,000-yard seasons. Yes, minimum. He's been very healthy the last 2 years, and when you think about the catches that he has been able to go against, the guy has had the most contested catches in the last 2 seasons.
Not a first rounder though.
Minimum second rounder.
A minimum second round. That's the starting.
Minimum second rounder for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be exploring that a little bit throughout the rest of this podcast. But Darren, good luck with your upcoming interview with Spencer Brown, and you let us know how it goes, man.
Thank you. See y'all guys later, man.
Later. Okay. So he just said Allen Robinson for a second round pick. Okay. Okay. Quick thoughts. There it is. Your turn for the floor anyway. So offer your thoughts and then give me your franchise player candidate.
It's a lot, man. Justin Simmons. He played on the franchise tag. Denver, the smart thing to do. I think they have the 5th most salary cap. I think you get a deal done with that, man. You get a deal done. Dak Prescott. What's his future hold in Dallas? I think going to franchise tag him again, right? Is he going to, get franchise tag twice and then have that Kirk Cousins experience where he signs 2 franchise tags and he signs a long-term deal with the money is all guaranteed. So I definitely think it's a lot of players. Allen Robinson is a guy who I want him to get a long-term deal because I think he's worth it. I think he's proven, the years with not really having a number 1 quarterback that he can be a real number 1 wide receiver. So I definitely think he deserves some top dollars. And then, for a franchise tag candidate, there's a couple of guys, but I think when it comes down, so I think Chris Godwin, I think the Buccaneers aren't going to get a long-term deal done with him. So just because they have a lot of, free agents on that team, right? So I think he's going to get franchise tag. And then they're going to figure out a long-term deal with him. But I can definitely see Chris Godwin getting franchise tag, especially just because, like I said, you want to keep that. You want to keep all your free agents. So get that guy tagged.
Well, let me ask you this one thing, man. The Patriots have 2 of their top linemen hitting free agency pretty soon. Your center and your guard, Thuney. So if you had to choose, who would you franchise tag?
I would franchise tag David Andrews. Tooney is going to cost us too much. Belichick, he does not like to pay for guys he feels like he can replace easily. Especially when we got a guy like, I cannot pronounce his name, but he played in Michigan. We got him in the 6th round. Michael Anue, I believe his name is. He balled out at right tackle. He played all 16 games. He definitely is a guy who can come in and fill that role. So I definitely think David Andrews could possibly get franchise tag, especially because it's not going to cost us that much money against the cap to franchise tag him.
Michael Onwenu?
Yes, him. He balled out this year. He was a 6th round pick, and I didn't think he was going to do his thing, but he played really, really well, and he was one of the highest graded rookies, I think, from PFF this past season. So.
Okay, Avery, your franchise tag candidates. Any tag and traders or anyone that you just think should just be let go?
All right, so tag and trade Allen Robinson. If you're not going to get him a quarterback, I think you're going to just waste his career if you're not going to do that. So tag and trade him, or just let him go. Let him go, and see let him allow him to see what's out there for him. I like Darren's pick for Kenny Galladay. You franchise tag him because of, to your point, Juan, his injury history. You place the tag on him then, if that's the case. We're not sure about, can you give us 16 games, right? Or can you give us at least 14? If you can give us 14, then we can think about a long-term deal. But to Darius's point, I actually don't franchise tag Chris Godwin. I actually get the long-term deal done with him and franchise tag AB, right? That's what I would do. Chris Godwin's the younger guy. AB is on his way out of the league. Let's just call it what it is. Like he's not going to continue to play at an extremely high level moving forward. He's on the downswing of his career. So you franchise tag him, and that's the guy that I would like to see get franchise tagged, and then like I said, I would like to see Godwin get signed to a long-term deal. I think if you're not going to tag AB, tag Leonard Fournette, right? And the reason being is because you saw what he did in his playoff run, right? He really, when Ronald Jones was down, Leonard came in and did what he was supposed to do, and that was be a backup back that can steady the ship and do and carry the load, not turn the ball over, make the good decisions, pass block well, and different things like that. So that's what I like to see. And the last one that I would like to see get tagged, only because I hate how it ended for him, is Bud Dupree. I don't like how that ended for him, or give him a long-term contract. Like I think he's good enough. I think he's earned that. Not like a TJ Watt type of production level, but we saw how less productive TJ Watt was when Bud Dupree went down, because now you don't have to worry about the other side. You can throw so many players on TJ's side. And so that's who I would like to see. That's who I would like to see get franchise tag or a long deal done. I don't think there's anybody out there that I would say I would like to see let go per se from their respective teams. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I'll give a quick thought before we wrap up here today. Two guys I think should be franchise tagged at the very least. Number one, Bills linebacker Matt Milano. He said he wants to test free agency, and the average cap number for the linebackers this year is 14.6. He did have a pectoral injury, and he was out for 2 months, but he is still considered an up-and-coming linebacker for the Bills. In 2020, he played in 11 games. He had 2 pass deflections. He had 2 forced fumbles. He had 8. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Bud Dupree's numbers. In 2020, he had 3 pass deflections, 1 interception, and 45 total tackles, and that's just in 5 games played. So he is a top playmaking linebacker, and if the Bills don't find a way to secure him into that building, they're going to lose a top-tier defender. And on offense, I'm going over to the Chargers with tight end Hunter Henry. He was franchise tagged in 2020. He was the 3rd highest paid tight end, for that matter, at $10.6 million. And the fact of the matter is that the most likely place that he might be going to, if it's a tag and trade situation, could be the New England Patriots. He is a good fit in the Bill Belichick system. In 14 games he played, he had 60 catches for 613 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 10 yards per.
Give him a tight end.
If you can give Cam Newton a safety blanket, Hunter Henry's the perfect fit over.
You saw what he did with Greg Olsen. You saw what he did
or
with
Juno Smith. I'll take him either. I'll take either or. We just need a playmaker tight end.
Yanu.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wow. Okay.
Or
yeah, I'm out here.
All right, man. And we know, with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here at the Air It Out podcast. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. On Instagram, we are at Inside the Hashes. On Twitter, we are at Inside Hashes. On Facebook, we are Inside the Hashes, the football group. And also, guys, we're on TikTok now. We got a TikTok account coming on, man. You guys, we got content already coming out on there. Go check us out on TikTok at Inside the Hashes. We are also on Discord, which is Inside the Hashes. We want to talk football with you just as much as you want to talk about it with us, whether it is on high school football, college football, professional football, any kind of football. We want to talk about it with you. Go join our Discord. And also, guys, check out our podcast and video work, whether it's on our website, InsideTheHashes.com, on YouTube, type in Inside the Hashes in the search bar, or on Spotify, Apple, and Anchor Podcasts. For Avery Collins, for Darius Riddick, for Darren Braxton, Jerome Jones, Behind the Glass. I'm Juan Pablo Guardin Camargo. We'll see you next time.